Hello everyone and welcome into another edition of the Mercer County Football Show here on WBCB1490.com. Mike Samsel, George O'Gorman with you after what proved to be quite a week in Mercer County football this past week. Trenton and Lawrence both scoring big-time victories, which has to pose the question right at the top, George. Are Trenton and Lawrence really good?
Yeah, very good.
Yeah.
And things have worked well for them. And Lawrence will find out this week just how good they really are Friday night when they go down to Burlington Township, which is 2-0, and coming off a win over Holy Cross. And, Burlington Township looks like they're going to be another contender again. I think they're the defending champion, their division of the West Jersey Football League. But Hopewell Valley.
Yeah, Hopewell Valley's 2-0 as well.
Hopewell Valley's 2-0, and don't forget them. They go to Hightstown this week, and last year, Hightstown beat them, I believe, or 2 years ago. Yeah, I guess it was last year because I remember the game was at Hopewell, and it was usually Hightstown was the Hopewell's homecoming game because it was portable lights. But big games last week, and the Trenton win at Nottingham was obviously the highlight of the weekend. With the Tornadoes, who only won 2 games last year, going to 2-0 and knocking off the team that had only lost 1 game in 13 games prior to that, because they went 11-1 last year when they won Central Jersey, the North Stars, and then they got beat here by Trenton. First time I think since 2004 that the Tornadoes did that. You figure Trenton only won 2 games last year, so they're on a roll right now because they're focused and they're listening to their coaches. And but this week, it's kind of like Mercer County against Burlington County.
Yeah.
You got Rancocas Valley, which is coming off its being idle last week, their bye week. They're coming in to play Notre Dame on Friday night, and the last time RV was at Notre Dame, they knocked off the Irish on a last second, I guess it was, final play of the game, touchdown pass, when Notre Dame defensive back forgot to cover the RV guy that was flanked out.
Right.
So that's a big game. You've also got Lawrence, as we said, going down to Burlington Township to play. You've got Cinnaminson coming up here to play against Robbinsville. Robbinsville coming off its win, the first under Irving Fryer, when it knocked off Burlington City last week. Scored 27 points in the second half to beat the Burls. And Holy Cross is going into Ewing is going down to play at Holy Cross, so there's some big matchups, in the West Jersey Football League involving Mercer County teams against Burlington County teams. It's a full slate of games, probably the biggest Friday night of the season.
Yeah,
7 games.
Yeah, very busy Friday night and some big time football coming up this Friday night as well. We'll have 3 games for you in Mercer County on the WBCB Sports Network this week. Coming up on Friday night, George and I will be out at Notre Dame High School, as it will be Notre Dame in action. They will be hosting Rancocas Valley. We mentioned what a big game that'll be. 2 games on Saturdays. It will be West Windsor, Plainsboro North to Trenton. Hear that game on the AM on 1490. Coverage starting at 12:45. Matt Miro, George O'Gorman, Bill Redner will be out there. And Steiner will be taking on Nottingham. That game will be coming up 11:45 Trentonian pregame show on 107.7 The Bronx. Sean Lerman will have to call that game. Those are the 3 Mercer County games on the WBCB Sports Network this week. When George and I come back on the other side, we'll run over all of last week's results throughout Mercer County. It's the Mercer County Football Show here on WBCB1490.com. We'll be right back.
The Trentonian presents Philadelphia Eagles Football Frenzy. You could win the grand prize to see the Eagles play Dallas in Dallas on December 2nd. Get your copy of the Daily Trentonian to register. Enter between now and September 30th for your chance to win. Every Sunday, the Trentonian is giving out a $100 gift card, a 2-night hotel package for 2 with your choice of a regular season Eagles game, and on October 7th, the grand prize will be announced, a flyaway package to Dallas to see the Eagles take on the Cowboys December 2nd with 2-night hotel accommodations. For entry rules, check the Daily Trentonian and enter as often as you like in the Trentonian or online at Trentonian.com. It's the Philadelphia Football Frenzy from the Trentonian, the only local paper serving both Bucks and Mercer counties.
welcome back to the Mercer County Football Show here on WBCB1490.com. Mike Samsel, George O'Gorman with you. Show today brought to you by the St. Francis Medical Center, your heart hospital in the city of Trenton, and also our friends over at the Trentonian for the most complete local and national sports coverage on both sides of the river 7 days a week. Be sure to check them out in the pages of the Trentonian and online at Trentonian.com. What is becoming a tradition here on the Mercer County Football Shows, I've talked about it on several occasions. I think it's one of the coolest things that they do in high school football, and it's right there in Mercer County. It's the 12th Man Touchdown Club, where they bring out all the coaches. They have an opportunity to speak, to network, and to honor some of the young men. And there were some very good players last week. Ryan Wharton out of Trenton, Offensive Back of the Week, 18 carries for 150 yards, a 2-point conversion. Ryan Wharton had himself a nice week in that game. And we mentioned, this is a young man that you and I have seen kind of come up through that Trenton football system. A guy we always knew and thought had potential, and it was nice to see him reach it last week.
It was, and because last year he got hurt and missed most of the season. And along with Trumaine Nieves, who was also hurt last year, got hurt in the opening game of the year at West Windsor South. Now he's come back and he's had 2 huge games. Ryan Wharton also plays defensive back for the Tornadoes, while Nieves plays linebacker. And this is a team that they got winless West Windsor North coming up this week, and then they got Steinert the week after. So there's a chance, if the Tornadoes aren't looking ahead and just focus on what they have to do, and they follow the lead of Tariq Holman and their new coach, they could be off to an unbelievable start.
Yeah, they certainly could be. The Offensive Lineman of the Week, Mike Clancy from the Pennington School. Defensive Back of the Week, Will Grellis out of Hightstown. He had himself a nice day, getting 10 tackles in the Rams game. Defensive Lineman Jordan Kupak from Steiner, the game that you saw. First shutout in 20 games for Steiner, and Kupak had a nice game.
You have to go all the way back to the 2011 season for the last time Dan Caruso's club got a shutout. I think it was over Hightstown, if I'm not mistaken. And, of course, Steiner had that week off because they opened up earlier than everybody else against Allentown. And actually, they were in that game, although the score was 28-7. That game was close basically through 2.5 quarters. Until Allentown pulled away and won 28-7. But the Spartans showed a lot against West Windsor South, and that was a game really determined by field position, and Steiner got that definite field position advantage early on and was able to build on that. Jarius Fraser had the touchdown, and Kupak had forced a fumble in the end zone, and it was recovered for a touchdown that put the Spartans up 14-0, and then they got their last touchdown in the closing minutes. Fraser again on a pass, but Fraser got hurt coming down on a reception. So, but Coach Caruso said he didn't expect him to have any, problems and to miss this game with Nottingham, because obviously that's the biggest game, is the Battle of Clockner Road. Steiner heads on up. Steiner with 2 straight home games heads on up 3-4 minutes away up Clockner Road to go play at Nottingham, which John Adams as Nottingham North Stars, they got to be fuming right now after seeing their undefeated streak. They'd only lost to Allentown last year, and that was a close game. And then they get knocked off by Trenton, which I think, as John Adams had said prior to that game, keep your eye out on Trenton. They're good, and Trenton, the Tornadoes definitely proved that. So Steiner goes up to play at Nottingham in what should be a very good matchup. Probably the game of the day, maybe the game of the weekend in Mercer County, thinking about some of the other matchups.
Sure.
And actually 7 Friday night games. 9 if you include Burlington City's game at New Egypt and Florence's game at Palmyra, which makes that the busiest weekend of the season that I know. I can't recall a night when we had 9 games involving local teams. But we only got 4 of them on Saturday. The 2 locals, Nottingham and Steinert, and Trenton and West Windsor North. So should be an interesting weekend again.
Yeah, it certainly should be. Credit to Nick Benfer as well for West Windsor Plainsboro South. Special Teams Player of the Week. He had a 3-year varsity starter, had 9 punts, averaged 38 yards, and certainly played the field position battle, despite West Windsor Plainsboro South
Nick
coming
Benfer,
up a bit short.
Nick Benfer, as you said, is a 3-year veteran of that team, and one of the returning experienced players on that team. I don't think he ever leaves the field, because you figure he does the punts. I think he does the kickoffs. He running back,
yeah.
fullback. He's a linebacker,
Mm-hmm.
defensive end at times. He's done an excellent job, and it's big game coming up. They're two winless teams. Friday night, Princeton at West Windsor South. It'll be the opening game of the year at home for West Windsor South, but after losing to Trenton last week and then losing to Steinert, big game for Skip Edwards' ball club to knock off what used to be the school where the West Windsor South players now used to go to school at Princeton.
Yeah.
We're going back, Mike, into the 60s.
Taking a look at some of the results from last week. Pemberton 34-7 over Ewing in a game that caught some people off guard. Robbinsville 27, Burlington City 18. Robbinsville did a nice job battling back in that game. Lawrence 41, Florence nothing. Rob Radis's Cardinals sending a message in that one.
Well, that message will become a lot more loud and clearer this weekend Friday night if they can go into Burlington Township and knock off Tom Madera's Falcons, who are excellent ball club, and probably looks like they're the class of that. That's a very good division.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very good division in the West Jersey Football League. You've got Holy Cross in there. You've got Cinnaminson. You've got Delran. You got Lawrence. That's an excellent division, and this is a big test. I believe Burlington Township is the defending champ, and Lawrence, as Rob said earlier in the season, preseason anyway, if they can stay healthy, they can do some things.
Yeah, certainly. Trenton 22, Nottingham 13. Talked about that game a lot. Rancocas Valley had the week off in preparing for Notre Dame. Notre Dame was victorious 38-14 over Hamilton. That's a Hamilton team that is very young. They're building Notre Dame a little bit more veteran leadership, and that's probably what Notre Dame should have done in that game.
Yeah, and the defense still a little rusty. From all indications, they're going to have to really sharpen up this weekend because Rancocas Valley coming in off a bye. Rancocas Valley's first game was they scored 56 points over West Windsor North. They got a week off. I'm sure they were out there to watch Notre Dame last Friday night, and now Rancocas Valley is coming up into Mercer County to play at Monsignor Nolan Stadium and taking on a good Irish team, but the Irish are going to have to sharpen up their defense even more because this is a Rancocas Valley team with a lot of weapons, came into the season ranked 6th in South Jersey. Mm-hmm. That's quite an accomplishment if you're considered that high among the South Jersey teams because there's some powers down there.
Yeah.
That we are in the other divisions of the West Jersey Football League. But, this is another big test for the Irish to prove that they actually let that game against Central Buck South get away the first week.
Yeah.
Made a lot of mistakes defensively. Came back and played a lot better defensively against Hamilton, but again, that's a young Hamilton team.
Right.
Now they're going in against which basically a veteran Rancocas Valley ball club, so we'll see where the Irish stand after that game.
Hopewell Valley 42, West Windsor Plainsboro North 6. West Windsor Plainsboro North continue to struggle a little bit. They've had some lean years in the past 2 or 3. Steinert 21, West Windsor Plainsboro South nothing. Northern Burlington fell to Cinnaminson 19-13.
That was a little bit of a surprise. After Cinnaminson had lost its opener at home to Ewing.
Yeah.
And then turned around and went into knocked off Northern Burlington, which I was a little bit surprised when I saw that result. In fact, I had to check it 3 times to make sure that they didn't have the score reversed.
Yeah.
But that's a very good Cinnaminson ball club, and this is going to be a huge test, for they're playing at Robbinsville, right? And then good win for the Ravens last week when some people were thinking Ravens may not win a game this year, but they came through with an excellent performance. And also give Pete Brescia and his Hightstown Rams credit. I mean, that was a good win for them, last week. And they come in now, and they're hosting a Hopewell Valley team. Hightstown last week, Grelis had helped lead the blocking to get 300 yards rushing for the Hightstown Rams, which according to the stats was the most rushing yards Hightstown has had in a football game dating back 9 years. That's quite an accomplishment, and they're going to be challenged this week by a very good Hopewell Valley defense. That's a pretty good. That's an interesting ball game there. Hopewell Valley at Hightstown. It's the I guess it's the first road game for Hopewell Valley.
Yeah.
And they go over to the newly returfed or turfed, because it was always grass before that, but now it's a turfed Dave McIntyre Field at Hightstown. So that should be a pretty good game. And like I said, it's a lot of good games and tough to choose one or the other. Which is the more interesting one?
Yeah, sure. Hightstown 27, Princeton 7, and Allentown 45, New Egypt nothing. The interesting thing about that game is this is the first time, George, that we've seen Allentown under Dre Graber really have to replace a lot of players. He had the Frank Jubas, the Norman Williams, the quarterback Nick Palladino. He had those guys for 3 years. He had them under his belt for a while. Now he's bringing up a new generation of players, and they're still pretty good.
Well, as he said the first week after they had knocked off Steiner, he said, our kids don't want to know that that they're new.
Right.
He said maybe they didn't get a lot of notoriety the last year when we had some very good senior leaders. But these kids feel that they're just as good, and they got a chip on their shoulder. They want to prove that, hey, we're not rebuilding, we're just reloaded.
Right.
And they've got some, excellent ball players. I mean, Drew Apostolikos, I think it is. I don't know how to pronounce the Greek names. Apostolico. But, he's an excellent quarterback, and Allentown, I got a feeling Allentown is just too strong for Hamilton to handle. Hamilton doesn't really get to play many, they don't have any lights at Hamilton.
Right.
But they lost at Notre Dame. And I think they're in for, Tom Hogan's ball club is in for a lot more trouble this weekend because Allentown can put up points, as we saw what they did last week. To, their only loss came out in Utah.
Yeah.
And they came back last week and blew out New Egypt. I think they held New Egypt without a first down till about the second half. Well, I think they won, 45-0?
Yep.
So that's a big win and a big chance now for the Redbirds to really prove it's a non-divisional game. But, Allentown, if they can, put things together, could have another good season, which would obviously be their third in a row, because Jay Graber has really turned that program around.
We'll step aside and take a quick time out here on the Mercer County Football Show. When we come back, we'll go over the matchups that we already haven't talked about this week. It's quite a big slate in Mercer County, as it's kind of the Mercer County versus Burlington County week. We'll step aside, take a quick time out, come back, and let you know about the matchups coming up here on the Mercer County Football Show on WBCB1490.com.
I'm Jerry Jablonowski, President and Chief Executive Officer of St. Francis Medical Center. For over 137 years, St. Francis has remained committed to the people of Trenton, living out our mission to be a transforming, healing presence in the communities we serve by delivering top-quality health care to all in a personal and compassionate manner. We have continually expanded our services to meet the changing healthcare needs of our city. Despite the hospital changes taking place in Trenton, St. Francis will continue to be here, providing all the residents of Trenton with access to top-quality health care, both at our hospital and within your communities where you live and work. Our renowned services in cardiac care, cancer treatment, and stroke care, in addition to our newly designed comprehensive care of chronic diseases, will continue to provide Trenton with the best in healthcare services. Our emergency room is always open for your immediate needs in times of medical crisis. St. Francis Medical Center. We'll be here so you'll be well.
Welcome back to the Mercer County Football Show here on WBCB1490.com. Mike Samsel, George O'Gorman back here with you. Don't forget, today's show brought to you by the St. Francis Medical Center, your heart hospital in the city of Trenton, and also the Trentonian. Read all about it. All the games in Mercer County on the pages of the Trentonian online, WBCB1490.com and Trentonian.com as well, is where you can see our show. Coming up, the games this Friday night, Ewing at Holy Cross. That'll be an interesting game for Ewing, because Ewing, first 2 weeks, very Jekyll and Hyde.
I don't know. I mean, I'm surprised that the first week Ewing went down and beat Cinnaminson. Cinnaminson turns around and comes back and beats at Northern Burlington. Ewing goes to Holy Cross, which, got beat the other day, last Friday night, I guess it was, by Burlington Township. Mm-hmm. Ewing, turns around and loses to a Pemberton team that had been trounced the week before by Lawrence. Mm-hmm. I mean, obviously it's too early in the year to say, you know, what's really going on. I mean, you know, pieces are just falling in right now, but I was surprised. Ewing's going to have a tough time with Holy Cross because I think Holy Cross is obviously better than Pemberton.
Yeah.
And, you know, Ewing, with that win in the first game over Cinnaminson, you know, it's hard to pick. Was Cinnaminson looking past Ewing to their game with Northern Burlington? I don't know how you could look past your opening game. But that's a major test for Drew Bessler and the Ewing Blue Devils.
It certainly is. Some other games on Friday night. Cinnaminson takes on Robbinsville. Burlington City takes on New Egypt. Florence looks to get back on track against Palmyra. Princeton takes on West Windsor Plainsboro South. One of those teams is going to get their first win of the season. Also on Friday night, we'll see Hopewell Valley and Hightstown, which should be a pretty interesting game. But really, the three big games coming up on Friday night, and we'll be broadcasting one of them, and we'll certainly be keeping an ear on the other two. You have Hopewell Valley and Hightstown, you have Lawrence and Burlington Township, and you have RV and Notre Dame. Those are three main courses, if you will, as far as football games go.
And Hopewell Valley Hightstown isn't a bad game either.
No, not at all.
That's a very interesting. I mean, Hopewell's got to be the favorite, but you know, who knows? I mean, if Dustin Coleman can get his passes going, and he can get another big game on defense from Will Grellis, who knows what could happen in that game? But I got to think that you know, Hopewell Valley is kind of on a roll now, and you know, more power to them. I mean, they just manhandled West Windsor North last week, and you know, you got to feel bad for Chris Casamento and his ball club. West Windsor North has been struggling, you know, to get over 500 the last couple of years. Here it is. They open up that first weekend at Rancocas Valley. Rancocas Valley ends up putting up 50-some points against them. Then last week they go into Hopewell, and Hopewell beats them like 45-7. What was that? And now
Final score 42-6.
42-6. And now West Windsor North goes on the road again and plays at Trenton.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, it's somebody's really punishing Chris Casamento and the Silver Knights from West Windsor North with that kind of a schedule. I mean, you're playing three of the top teams back to back to back in this area of the West Jersey Football League. But you know, they'll hang in there, and you know, they always do. And it's just that they don't have a lot of the experienced players that their sister school, West Windsor South, has. West Windsor South, they're taking on a Princeton ball club that's struggling. They don't have any numbers at all. And as we said, guys like Chris Scanlon and Diego Coutinho in the line. They even used Diego Coutinho as a running back last week when they played against Steinert. And I have to think that West Windsor South would probably be a 2-touchdown favorite. They've only scored, what was it, 1 touchdown all year? They got shut out by Steinert. And in their opening game, I think they got manhandled.
Yeah, they got shut out by Trenton, too. I don't think they've scored this year.
That's right, they haven't scored. Yeah, that's what I was thinking the other day. West Windsor South hasn't scored, and I think that they're going to try to find the end zone a couple of times on Friday night against Princeton, which is struggling. You feel bad for Princeton, but you know, those things happen. It's not a football town like it used to be years ago.
Right. Certainly not. Another game, we mentioned Rancocas Valley and Notre Dame. That should be a good one just to see a measuring stick as far as a lot of people say about Rancocas Valley, and this is no slight on Rancocas Valley. It's just kind of the feeling around the county is they need to win a big game. And this would be a good chance. Going in on Friday night, Monsignor Nolan Field, that's a game, it's a statement game, if you will.
You know, it's funny that you have to say that about Rancocas Valley, because that program was one of the class programs not only in our area, but the whole state of New Jersey and the East Coast. Remember, they had 2 #1 draft picks come out of Rancocas Valley when you stop and think about it. The great Hall of Famer Franco Harris. Irving Fryer was a #1 draft pick, wasn't he, when he came out of Nebraska?
To the Miami Dolphins, yep.
And Alonzo Spellman played with the Chicago Bears. I mean, that's the school that's produced 3 #1 draft picks in the NFL. 2 of them, well, Franco Harris wasn't the actual, I don't think, #1 pick that year. He was a #1 pick, I think, for the Pittsburgh Steelers. But Irving Fryer went to the New England Patriots, and he was the #1 pick in the draft.
Yeah.
That's quite an accomplishment. I don't know how many other schools can say they had 3 guys come out within a span of 20 years, 15 years, who were all first-round draft picks in the NFL. especially for a New Jersey school, a Central Jersey school, Grand Cocos Valley. But they were good a couple of years ago, and then they kind of slipped down, and I think they only won a couple of games last year. But in fact, I saw them the one year they won 8 games. They struggled to beat Steiner.
Yeah.
When Steiner was 0-3 at the time. But this I would probably say that Rancocas Valley, even coming off that bye, would have to be the favorite at Notre Dame.
Yeah, I would certainly have to say that too. And the 2 games we have coming up on Saturday, we mentioned both on the WBCB Sports Network. We'll have West Windsor, Plainsboro, North, and Trenton. Hear that one on the AM 1490. And over on the FM, Steiner will be taking on Nottingham. Nottingham trying to get back on track. And hey, Steiner trying to get back on track too. If they could score the win, all of a sudden they could be 2-1, sneak up on a couple people when maybe not so high expectations for the Spartans heading into the season. That'll just about wrap it up for this edition of the Mercer County Football Show here on WBCB1490.com. Thanks to the St. Francis Medical Center and the Trentonian for helping us be with you every week. George, any final thoughts before we get out of here?
No, it's a very good weekend, and a lot of big games both days, and, you got some gas in your car. The prices are going down, by the way, on gas, so you could probably take in a couple of those games down in Burlington County and maybe make the tour going between Burlington Township and Holy Cross. They're only about 10 minutes away. But even stay in Mercer County and watch RV playing at Notre Dame. And, Cinnaminson is playing at Robbinsville. That should be a very interesting matchup. See if Irving Fryer and his boys can do it again and knock off their second. I think Robbinsville has played 3 straight teams from Burlington County.
Yep.
And last week they knocked off Burlington City. That was an interesting matchup. How about that? You had two former NFL players coaching against each other, Irving Fryer and Tony Sacca for Burlington City. So a lot of good football this week. Enjoy it, and we'll talk to you again next week.
Yeah, very excited for you. George and I will see you on Friday night. He and I will be on 107.7 The Bronx and 107.7thebronx.com for that Rancocas Valley and Notre Dame game. We're excited for that, and we're excited to have you join us. 3 games on the WBCB Sports Network this weekend. For more information about them, follow us on Twitter, twitter.com/WBCB Sports. Our Football Friday coverage starts with the high school football kickoff show Friday at 4:30 p.m. So we start nice and early here on 1490 WBCB. 1490, we'll see you. 4:30 for the high school football kickoff show. 6:45, George and I will be out at the field. Until then, take care, everyone.